Well folks, I can't believe I finally get to say this, but Squad is officially releasing out of early access onto Steam as a fully standalone version 1 edition of the game on September 23rd, 2020. My name is TheTacticalBrit. I want to talk about this incredible feat of achievement. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like, and of course subscribe for more of this style of content in the future. Now, this is actually pretty incredible. You know, we are talking about a new update, which by the way features a new faction, a new map, and also some brand new weapons and all that kind of general variety stuff you receive with a new faction. And 100 player servers. 100 players is now officially the norm in Squad, which is a crazy achievement considering that was something that was, you know, an official part of this plan when this game was first conceptualized many years ago. Now, when we talk about what an achievement this is, you know, as of the September 23rd update, Squad will be releasing with 21 maps, technically 20, but 21 if you include the training range, which a lot of people do because it is actually very useful. We also have 7 factions: the United States, the Russians, the Insurgents, the Militia. We also have the new MEA faction, the British, and the Canadians. And I can't actually begin to list the number of weapons and vehicles that exist in this game, because if you go to the Squad wiki to try and find out, there's actually so many that counting all of them would take an excessively long time. But every single faction has its own explosive equipment, its own incredible bits of equipment and placements that you can use as defenses and offensive parts of your objectives. They have their own helicopters, their own trucks, their own vehicles, their own tanks, their own everything, really. There are some parity between some factions, like the Insurgents and Militia. They sometimes share very similar vehicles, but it's honestly incredible just how much content is releasing into this game on V1. And that doesn't even include really impressive things, like the fact that this game has a physics system in terms of how flying works, in terms of how vehicles work, a full ballistic system which also features bullet penetration, a full damage system that ties into the ballistic system in its entirety, as well as a ragdoll system which also works with that as well. The command system, the squad leading system, the infantry call-in systems, and everything possibly in between, you know, it all comes together to create this really holistic product that is honestly a real success to see. You know, there are so many early access games where you look at it and you think, you know, maybe this will do well, maybe this won't make it, we're not entirely sure. But with Squad, the story is just so much different. This was a game that, you know, had some slow times where, you know, things weren't releasing and it was taking a while. I remember back in the day when the helicopters were releasing for Squad, everybody was like, you know, when is this thing coming? You know, this is taking forever. It felt like we hadn't heard from these guys in months. And, you know, this is a game where they just never gave up. They kept creating this fantastic game, and it's finally releasing into a version that not only has a very successful amount of content to begin with, but also has entirely new factions coming, entirely new weapons and vehicles coming, entirely new maps coming, and also has a modding SDK, which means that people can continue to create their own content even when development of this game eventually runs out, because that will happen someday. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon considering the roadmap they've released, but it's pretty impressive. I guess the reason that I find all of this so interesting is because I originally played this game 5 years ago. 5 years ago. We're talking summer of 2015. We're talking, you know, back in the day when I had a janky PC which had an i7-4790K and a GeForce 970, which back at the time was actually pretty good hardware. But bearing in mind, since then, we're now on the NVIDIA 3000 series. There is DDR4 instead of DDR3 memory. You know, 1440p and 144 Hz plus is effectively the norm of video gaming. A lot has changed since then. There's a PlayStation 5 now, you know, things have changed quite drastically. But things have changed even more drastically in terms of what Squad was back then and what it is now. You know, back when I played Squad, there was no gun sights. The game sounded like arse. Like, honestly, firing a gun in Squad in 2015 was, you may as well have like kicked a tin can. That probably would have given you a more holistic feedback experience in terms of audio. There were no forward operating bases, there were no vehicles in the game, I'm pretty sure there were no optics in the game for an exceedingly long time as well. We were talking about a game which was a running simulator with a couple of rifles, a few objectives, where sometimes you could capture them because capturing objectives was actually broken for an extended period of time, that only had rally points. Forward operating bases and FOBs and HABs only really came in a little bit later. In fact, I only think they came in when the game released on Steam Early Access. So, a game that I have seen go from being absolutely nothing, like, and I mean nothing, I mean like, you know, generic UE4 assets and some building, to a game that has become, more or less in my opinion, the best and most well-equipped modern military shooter experience on PC gaming. And the mostly positive reviews on Steam, which are, you know, thousands of them, are accurate. You will get some people where this game isn't quite their flavor and isn't quite their taste of things, but on the whole, Squad, in my opinion, if you're looking for a modern, intense military experience game, there is no other comparison. There is no other game out there that comes remotely close. You know, some people will say that Arma 3 is a great game. Me personally, I think Arma 3 is more a military simulation software, and also tends to run like complete trash. Whereas in Squad, I get 120 FPS, which is just fabulous at 1440p. I've actually included a lot of old footage in the background of what Squad used to look like back in the day, you know, what this game looked like 5 years ago compared to what it looks like now. It's entirely different. There are ballistics, there are weather systems, there are all kinds of things in this game now that make it miles apart from anything that was done in the past, and miles apart from what it achieved in the past. And with multiple new factions, maps, and weapons coming in the not-too-distant future, actually within the next couple of months, really, I think it's really impressive to see where this game has gone and what it has achieved. And I guess really that's kind of why I wanted to make this video, to just sort of, you know, landmark the fact that this game has achieved an official release, which is something that I don't think you hear enough about in terms of early access titles. So folks, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you are somebody who's looking to check out Squad, do it. Absolutely check out this game. This is, in my view, one of the best titles in modern military shooters, and in terms of just having a game with such advanced systems like an armor penetration system, ballistic system, communication system, there is nothing that comes remotely close to it in terms of what it has achieved and what it continues to do. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, I hope you're excited as I am, and I'll catch you again in the next one.